So far, all of the pivot tables that I've shown you were created using a list of some sort, usually in the form of an Excel table. In this movie, I will show you how to create a pivot table based on multiple consolidation ranges, and I'll explain what that means as I go. My sample file is Consolidate 0107, and you can find it in the Chapter 1 folder of your exercise files collection. The technique I'm about to show you is referred to as multiple consolidation ranges. And what that means is that you have multiple worksheets, in this case I have 3, that all have exactly the same layout. So you see here that from cells B2, which forms the implied corner of this data range, from B2 to F8, I have a range that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns wide and 7 rows high. That is my consolidation range, or the first of them. I'll go ahead and click B2 to deselect, and if I look at the web worksheet, you'll see that I have exactly the same shape from B2 to F8, and on the store worksheet, I have exactly the same thing. Now, the ranges don't need to all be in exactly the same position on the worksheet, but they do absolutely have to be the same shape. So, how do you create a pivot table based on this collection of data? Well, you can't do it from the ribbon anymore, but you can access commands that are no longer on the ribbon using keystrokes. And here's the sequence. First, press the Alt key, and that will display the keyboard controls for Excel for the ribbon. Now press D for Delta. And if you see the tooltip at the top, it says continue typing the menu key sequence from an earlier version of Office or press Escape to cancel. In this case, we want to press P, which is short for Pivot Table Wizard. So I'll press P, and the Pivot Table and Pivot Chart Wizard appears. This hasn't been available from the ribbon interface for quite a few years, but it's still there in the background in case you need it. If you look at the top 3 radio buttons, you'll see that the third option is multiple consolidation ranges, and that is what we want. So I'll select that, and I want to create a pivot table, so I will click Next. The next step, which is labeled Step 2A of 3, asks how many page fields you want. Page fields are the old way of referring to filter fields. I haven't covered those yet, so for now I'll just say that we will select the I will create the page fields option and click Next. Now you can identify the ranges that contain the data you want to consolidate into a pivot table. We'll start on the store worksheet because that is currently displayed. So make sure the insertion point is flashing in the range box. And then go onto your worksheet. If you need to, you can click the dialog contractor button here to close down the dialog box a bit. And select the entire range, including any blank cells at the top left corner. So in this case, I have from B2 through F8. Then I'll click the Expand dialog button and click Add. That's the first range. Now I'll do the same thing for the next 2. I'll click the web worksheet, select cells B2 through F8, and click Add. And now we'll do the same thing for phone. Click the phone worksheet, and I have B2 through F8 selected. I'll click Add. All right, so we have everything we need. How many page fields do I want? We'll leave that at 0 because we're not creating any filters. Click Next. Where do you want to put the pivot table report? We'll leave it on a new worksheet and click Finish. And there you see that you have a pivot table. We have columns and rows, and if we wanted to now, we could filter based on quarter, and all of our data is in one place. I always wonder when I teach pivot tables if I should include this topic. And my fear is that someone will have data laid out the way that I described it here, and will want to put it into a pivot table and won't be able to do it. So that's why I continue teaching this topic, and I hope one day that for someone who watches this course, it will be useful to you.